Hi friend, so glad you decided to join me today. I've been very busy during the holidays. I've been working on 12 different holiday projects and I'm super excited about them because included in them are some handmade felties. So come on and let's play! My first finished object is a reindeer doll. And she is by Yana Batalova from Cute Pattern by Ya. And I absolutely love her patterns. Her patterns for her dolls have very shapely legs. And of course their heads are properly proportioned according to my doll dysmorphia. So I absolutely love her patterns, and then the finished projects always come out beautiful, so I love her patterns. I love the way that she came out, and this pattern is not short of details. She's fully loaded. She has shoes with ears, beady little eyes, antlers, and even a red pom-pom nose. So super cute. She's also sporting some striped leggings, which I love. I absolutely love colors and textures, and Yana really incorporated lots and lots of details, colors, and textures into this pattern, and I just absolutely love it. Her sweater is embroidered to look like a Christmas sweater front and back. The doll herself is sporting a red pom-pom nose. Now, Yana actually has a pattern for the nose to be crocheted, but I opted to have it as a pom-pom because I just thought it would be cuter. She's also sporting antlers and ear headbands so she can look like Rudolph. And then of course she's got her sidekick plushie. So super cute. I love these two. They just look so cute together. And this would be a great gift for anybody during the holidays, of course, or even just decoration around the house. I think she'd be super, super beautiful. One tip that I have for this pattern is to be sure to insert and secure your safety eyes for her shoes before you start on her legs, because once you start on her legs it's really almost impossible to access the foot on the inside. And I say that because the designer doesn't have you insert the eyes until after the legs are complete because she glues them in, but I highly recommend that you use washers that come with your safety eyes to secure them properly. I did find a slight error in this pattern and it's located in the legs. It's just a slight typo. It doesn't really affect the pattern too much. Instead of rounds 20 to 22, it should read rounds 21 through 22, equaling 2 rounds. And you'll notice it once you get to it. My next finished object is this mini gingerbread boy. And you may notice that he looks a little familiar as far as styling, and this is written and designed by Irina Moilova of Crochet Confetti. And as you might know, I am trying to build a collection of Crochet Confetti mini freebie patterns. Well, not patterns, I already collected them all. I'm just trying to make them all. Oh, you guys haven't been here in a while, so this is my shelf of Crochet Confetti dolls, and here are some dolls from other designers, and then of course my plethora of amigurumis of all kinds. So yeah, welcome to the Stitchly Doo Doll Studio. I think I'm coming along with my collection. I think I have maybe about 5 minis so far. And this came out together with a snowman, and the snowman pattern is super, super cute. Now for this gingerbread boy, I love his sprinkled frosting. It looks super sweet and delicious. And also his cowl or scarf. I believe these are called cowls. I don't know. And then I also gave him a little touch of freckles in some blush for his cheeks because it is cold outside. Thank you to Becky H for suggesting a felt project. I've been wanting to make fabric toys for a while now, and it's actually one of my goals from last year's crafty goals, and I fell short last year. And when Becky H had suggested it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, it was one of my goals. I wasn't doing very well on it, so I was like, I might as well. So she gave me a little nudge and it worked. So thank you so much, Becky. And my next finished object is this cute little felt Christmas tree. Now this pattern is written and designed by Noyaland. And when I bought this pattern, I went nuts. It was Christmas time and she was having a sale, and I was like, treat yourself, right? Christmas time. So I treated myself to a plethora of Noyaland patterns, and I absolutely enjoyed working on this project. I used to hate. I used to loathe hand cutting felt because it was a challenge. If you've ever tried cutting felt by hand, especially small little pieces, you'll find that it's very challenging. But I was reminded that you can easily iron on freezer paper, like the actual freezer paper that you use for wrapping meats and food for the freezer. You can actually apply that with heat with your iron onto the back of any type of fabric, including felt. And what it does is it stabilizes it and makes it easier for cutting. So since I was reminded of that trick, I learned of it a long time ago, but I had since forgotten about it. But since I've relearned about it and applied it to felt cutting, it's a game changer. I actually enjoy cutting felt a lot more, but if I were to learn how to do a hack on my Cricut, it's not a Cricut maker that's made for cutting fabric. It's the Cricut Explorer, which is not made for fabric cutting, but I know that there's a hack where you can actually manipulate the fabric somehow so that you can cut fabric, including felt. Once I figure that out, which I hope to do sooner rather than later, I'm pretty sure that that method will trump hand cutting, because then I can spend more time on the hand stitching, because as far as I know, a lot of these felt toys are hand stitched. I've seen some where they're machine stitched and mass produced, but I actually like the look of the blanket stitch, or whatever stitch this is called. I actually like the look. It gives it that handmade homey feel and touch, which is what I love about felt toys. I really enjoyed working on this project. I used a washable pen to apply the design onto the embroidery design onto the felt, and that seemed to help a lot as far as stitching. And then all I had to do was just wet the fabric and then the ink disappeared. Although with the pen that I used, it did come back several times, but I kept having to re-wet it, and then eventually it disappeared. So it seems to have disappeared. I'm not sure if it's gonna come back, but if it does, I can just wet it again. I'm not a prolific embroiderer, but I have dabbled in it from time to time whenever a project calls for it. And I'm super proud of how I did with the embroidery on this. My next finished object comes from Danny Dero Handmade. And I believe this is the first pattern I've made from her, and I absolutely love it. As soon as I saw the pattern online on Etsy, I knew I had to make her. And I think I bought it like a year before, and I finally made it. So here is Cindy Lou Who, and this is from, I believe, the latest version of the Grinch. And I love all versions of the Grinch, all movie versions of the Grinch, and including this one. And this Cindy Lou Who looks a little different from the rest. I absolutely love the way that she came out. Her hair was quite the challenge. I ended up inserting some pipe cleaners into her braids to try and make it posable. And in some portions you can actually see the pipe cleaner peeking through, but for the most part I think it's not really visible unless you go hunting and looking for it, and it works and it gives it that shape and look that I was going for. And it's because of her hair that drew me into this pattern, to be honest. Now, this is the first pattern I've ever tried using Sharpie for freckles, and once I tried it, at first it was scary because, you know, whenever it's your first time trying something new, it can be kind of intimidating. But once I did it, I actually enjoyed it. I started using it on some of my other projects, as you may have noticed or will see in some of these other projects that I'll be showing you today. But yeah, freckles with Sharpie as opposed to yarn, it's kind of fun actually. I've used brown, I've used black, and you can use pink even, depending on your skin color. I love it. For this pattern, I did find a typo error, and it's located in the arms. So when you change to the pink fuchsia color, it should read rounds 6 through 17 for a total of 12 rounds. She did have it for rounds 6 through 7 for 2 rounds, but then you would have a gimpy arm. So I just counted the number of rows that I could see in her picture, and it added up to about 12 rounds. A tip that I have for this pattern is to join your legs so that your seam is towards the back of the doll. So just remember that whenever you're joining your legs. And then just as a note, the boots is double stranded, so I ended up using a larger hook size of 3.5 millimeter and E-hook instead of a 2.75 millimeter, which is what I used for the rest of the body. But I absolutely love the way that she came out. I'm super happy. My next finished object is by Sandra Lulu of Lulu Compatine, and it's this cute little Christmas elf. I don't know what else to call him. Now, this is a modification that's available for free on her Instagram account, and you can apply it to any of her Tutti Frutti patterns, which is available on her Etsy shop. And using any of the doll patterns in her Tutti Frutti collection, you can actually apply these modifications, and she's got quite a few freebie modifications on her Instagram account. So if you do own at least one Tutti Frutti pattern, it would be worth your while to check out her Instagram account for that reason. Now for this project, I did make a big boo-boo. I had several Tutti Frutti patterns already made up, and so when I saw this modification online, I grabbed one of the existing bodies that I had, and then I made the hat to fit that body. And then when I came around to making the body for the hat no longer fit because I sized it to another body. So I did things backwards. So learn from my mistake and make the body first and then apply your modifications to that. Don't do it backwards like how I did. Now this pattern is super easy, quick to follow, and super fun to work on. Modifications, I did add a jingle bell, and I love the way that it turned out. I actually wanted to add a smaller one, but I didn't have one available. I only had this size, and when I put it on, I was like, perfection. It actually worked out better than what I envisioned. So my next finished object comes from Abby of Ollie Holly Crochet, and she has a YouTube channel, and I found this tutorial and I just had to make it. It's a quick make, and it's this reindeer, or should I say Rudolph applique. And when I saw it, it was just so super cute, and I thought it's just a quick make, why not? And the reason why I wanted to make it is because I thought it would be a great idea to use as an embellishment for some of my amigurumi doll clothing. So if it's just plain on the front, I can just slap this on and add a little bit of design to the clothing. Just quick and easy. She's got quite a bit of applique tutorials on her channel that you can follow, and I figured whenever I want a quick make, I can just whip up one of these and have a collection of appliques on the side for when I actually need it. Just a cute, quick idea. And then I love the pom-pom nose. So super cute. Now, after making my Cindy Lou Who, I just had to make a Grinch. Right? Because you can't have Cindy Lou Who without a Grinch. And so I found this pattern, and it's by Tanya from Crochet Friends Lab. And I absolutely love the way that he came out. Now, I made another Grinch last year, but I did gift it to a dear family member, and so I had to make another one for my Cindy Lou Who. So he's gonna be part of our personal collection. And I love the yarn choice that I made for the fuzzy bits for his whole entire suit. I think it added an extra bit of interest and texture to his whole outfit. Super love it. And for Grinchy, I also used a Sharpie. As you can tell, I got more comfortable and I just love it. It looks so super cute. And I love his super cute chunky cheeks. Now this pattern I wouldn't necessarily recommend for beginners, only because there's some language that are included in this pattern that's unconventional. So I'm thinking that maybe a beginner amigurumist might be confused by it. A seasoned amigurumist will be able to understand it, I think. But a beginner will be absolutely confused and won't know what the heck's going on and won't be able to do that. For instance, one of her language is 4 double crochet in 1 loop with 1 top. Now I'll give you a moment to try and translate that for yourself. But after thinking about it for maybe like a minute or two, I realized, oh, she's talking about a bobble stitch. So I guess you can kind of infer what she's referring to by the piece, the part that she's working up, and maybe by looking at pictures. But yeah, when I first started and somebody wrote a bobble stitch in their pattern, I actually referred to the instructions on how to do the bobble stitch, which she did not include. And so yeah, for that reason I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner. But I absolutely love the way that he came out. Look at the two. Don't they just look like a cute pair? Best friends forever. My next finished object is from Renata of Blue Bunny Crochet, and this is her elf doll. Now this was actually part of a crochet along from last year's Christmas that I started, but I fell behind, and so I ended up having to pay for the pattern, but it was highly discounted, so I didn't mind, and plus it's supporting one of my favorite designers, so I was glad to pay for it. But yeah, I fell behind on the crochet along, and I felt really bad because whenever I try to do a crochet along, I try to keep up with the schedule as best I can, but occasionally I fall behind, and yeah. So if you want to finish a crochet along, you'll have to purchase the pattern, which was not a big deal for me. But I'm glad that I did, and I love the way that she came out. This elf has the iconic daddy long legs, as Miku calls them. The very first doll that I made of hers, it was just the legs, and we were like, holy Moses! Those are just the legs. I can't imagine how big the doll's gonna be. So yeah, daddy long legs, she called them. And then classic long locks of hair, Renata designs, and they're just simply beautiful. Her doll designs are very classic and timeless, I think. I did find a couple of errors in the pattern. The first error is located in round 35 of the body, and the total number of stitches is the same as round 34. And then there's a slight typo error in the skirt of round 13. The total number of stitches should be the same as round 12. My next finished object is by Neuland again, and so it is a felt toy, and it's this Santa Claus. When I finished him up, I was so super excited, especially because I had to wait a little bit because I didn't have a pom-pom fringe, and so I had to go to the store, and even then I couldn't find the right size, so I had to shop around, so it took me a while to finish him up, but I'm so super happy with how he turned out. He's got so many details, and I'm in awe. When I finished him up, I was like, I can't believe I made that. Look at him, he's so cute. I also love that there are so many different embellishments on him. He's got the jingle bell. I think I added this though. Some pom-poms, the pom-pom fringe, button cheeks, some button shank buttons. I actually cut off the shanks for those and glued it on, and same thing for this one. And then I used some acrylic paint to paint on the dots. And then these baker's twine. I love all the different embellishments and textures that were incorporated in this. Super happy with the way that he turned out. I also have some pipe cleaners, believe it or not, in his legs. I'm not sure what it's for, but I'm guessing for posability. I haven't used it for posability, I just keep him standing up. But I guess if you wanted him sitting, you could bend it at the knees if you wanted, or legs or hips. A note for this pattern, which I wasn't quite clear until I looked at the picture, was when you're stitching the mustache, just do a straight stitch down the middle so that both ends of the mustache is open like this, because everything else was stitch around the edges, and I was about to stitch around the edge for the mustache, but luckily I looked at the picture and realized, oh, okay, it's supposed to be, I think it's only supposed to be in the middle, which it turned out great because it has that look. So it wasn't clear to me, so I'm just letting you know, stitch straight down the middle. Now, because of my excitement for this one felt toy, I mean, I made some other ones too and I'm super excited, but this one I'm especially excited for. It's making me more excited about making more felt toys, so. And I did buy a lot of Neuland patterns, so I've got no excuse, so more coming up soon, hopefully. My next finished object comes from Svetlana Maximenko of Funny Hook Designs, and it's this snowman. Ain't he so cute? I just absolutely love the way that he came out, and I love all the details, especially his candy striped socks. I absolutely love that detail. Now his shorts has to be hand embroidered, and it took quite some time. So if you're not up to that, some alternatives would be to just embroider stripes, horizontal stripes, and omit the vertical striping so that you just have stripes instead of plaid. Another option is to just crochet stripes into the shorts instead of embroidering. So that might save you some time. I also love all the other details that he's got. He's got some suspenders, some buttons, and I love the shaping of his mittens. So super cute. And then his little bow tie, and then his carrot nose, and I love his facial details, and I love his facial expression. He's just so happy. I love it. And then his top hat, it's got a little crinkling. It's not just straight, like he's been around the block a few times and he's kind of worn out. And the buckle detail, I just love everything about this pattern. It's so super cute. Now I did find an error with this pattern, and it's located in his shoe section after making the socks, at the very bottom of page 7, it says to attach white yarn to the front loops, but really it should be black yarn because what it is the remaining detail of the shoe. So just make sure that you're attaching black yarn to the front loops and not white. Otherwise you'll end up with some white detailing here. Unless that's the look that you want, but it's not gonna match the picture. A tip for this pattern has to do with the mittens, the cuff of the mittens. So for round 3, what I did was I crocheted round 3 with a loose tension, as loose as I could possibly make it. And then I folded it over, and then I finished round 4 with regular tension. If I just did it according to pattern where I just did round 3, round 4, and then tried to flip it over, it was impossible. I couldn't flip it over. So I had to go back, do round 3 with loose tension, flip it over, and then finish round 4. So I hope that helps you out. And then for the cheeks, my tip for you is don't add it on until your other facial details are finished. I think I had placed it on and then it kind of dictated where my smile was, so I had to take it off and then fix my smile and then reattach it. So yeah, place your cheeks on last. As for modifications, I omitted the eyelids of his eyes. When I added it on, it made my snowman look very sad, which I didn't want. He looks very happy and I like him this way. My next finished object is also from Svetlana Maximenko of Funny Hook Designs, and it's a witch. Now this I made before the snowman, and this was my first pattern by Svetlana, and I really wanted to make this doll. I was waiting for her, and she's actually from a crochet along called Halloween, and the pattern didn't come out until the very last day of October, which is Halloween night, and it was nighttime, my time, in the US. So I was actually wondering where the pattern was, but it came at the very last minute, and I was like, you know what, I really want to make this pattern. I've always wanted to make one of her dolls, and so I did. I'm glad that I did. And I finally finished her, and I super love the way that she came out. I made her hat removable. I didn't fix it on her head because I thought that she would be versatile as an elf doll as well. So if I change her hat out with a Santa hat or even an elf hat, I think she would be great for Christmas. Very versatile. And I did change out her pom-pom colors for that very reason, because it was supposed to be a darker color, which I already knew I wanted to make her adaptable. So yeah, she is supposed to be a witch first and foremost, but yeah, just switching out some colors and she's adaptable, and then making the hat removable. Now I love this doll because her eyes are very small. Usually my dolls come with big eyes, and I love it. But this one was very different. It used really tiny eyes and had the freckles. And then it's got some ears, which I don't typically have ears on. Very rarely I'll have ears on my dolls. I think this is like maybe my second or maybe third doll that I have ears on. But it's not very common, and I think she just looks so super cute and innocent with her ears and her freckles and her tiny little eyes. I love the way that she came out. And then again, I'm attracted to these shapely legs, and then the fact that it's pigeon-toed and she's got some knees. I love everything about it. And then she's got this pinafore with this lacing detail. I love this lace detail. At first I was a little intimidated, but I was like, you know what, it's not a big deal. Sometimes I will opt to glue things like this on, but I really wanted it secure, so instead I opted to sew it on. And then Also, for this lacing, I ended up using fray check for the ends because I didn't want it to unravel, and I ended up stitching the ends down just to secure it a little further. But I absolutely love this lace detail. And then I also ended up having to glue this pinafore down. Normally this is supposed to be loose, but mine's kept moving around a lot, and so I ended up just gluing it down, fixing it onto her body, and I love it. It's more secure and it's not going anywhere, and her straps are still movable. So yeah, absolutely love it. I did find an error in this pattern, and it's kind of funny actually. It's an error in her hat, and it's just a slight typo. The instructions for, or the label of the instructions for round 9 is located further down in the pattern, but the instructions are right there where it belongs, between 8 and 10. But then the R9 is located all the way down, and then you'll see it and you'll be like, what is that for? And then you'll realize, oh yeah, the label was missing up here. So it's just a slight typo error. Now, a tip for this pattern is to work the collar from the center all the way around. It doesn't specify in the pattern where to start, but that's where I would suggest you begin. And when working the collar, I suggest that you work it with the doll upside down, so feet up. Modifications, I did give her some rounded feet instead of some flat ones. And then this designer also uses some wire armature for the center of the doll, but I don't like using, or I try not to use wire in my dolls if I can avoid it, especially for armature. I like my dolls to be soft. So yeah, no wire armature for me. When working the pinafore, crocheting the pinafore, I did have to size it according to my doll, so I ended up modifying it just slightly so it can fit my doll. And then for the legs, I did have to modify the placement of certain stitches so that my knee could be placed right over the toes. Otherwise, I think the knee would have ended up on either side, which would have looked really weird. So yeah, I just had to modify it and move my stitches just slightly. My next finished object is yet another felt toy, and again it's from Noyaland, and it's this felt elf leaf doll. And I love that he comes with a little pocket. The leaf is a little pocket. And I've been seeing a lot of toys lately on like Instagram and on YouTube, and I just love when they have like little matchboxes or little boxes or luggages or a bag of some kind, just something that you can slip into, sleeping bags even. I just love that. And when I saw this leaf, I was like, oh, that's so cute. I love interactive toys, and so I had to get it. And it's so super cute. The leaf has some embroidery details, and so does the elf. And his head's a little floppy. I'm not sure if that's typical, but I'm new to embroidery, and so I just have to work on my stitching a little bit better, but I'm super happy with the way that it came out. I'm super excited about how my satin stitching came out. Lots of details when it comes to these felt toys, and I absolutely love working on them. I think that this would be great as a gift topper, or even an ornament, or maybe even a stocking stuffer. I think would be so super cute. Thank you for joining me today. It's always nice to talk to a good friend about good old-fashioned crochet and crafting. I've been busy working on some future content, so I hope to see you around in the next video. Until then, happy crafting. Bye! Now for this gingerbread man, I love his sprinkled frosting and also his removable yarn scarf. Of course, yarn. What am I talking about? Everything is made of yarn. And his removable